Hey, what's going on? I'm going to try to get more to the point here. It's Eric with, um, I almost told you the name of my company, which is kind of funny because I've been doing some company videos. So anyways, it's Eric. Welcome to the video. The video is going to be three of my worst mistakes that I've made. And I don't know what's worse, they're all bad. And I've made lots of mistakes, but these are three that I'm going to highlight. And one of the things I want to say before I even get started is when you're an entrepreneur, when you're in business for yourself, you are going to make mistakes. So, strive not to make them, but don't be so scared of making a mistake that you don't ever get started, especially if you're just starting your business. So anyways, first one would be billing. Uh, I'm a very laid back, trustworthy person, and billing is an issue, or it is still an issue, but it was a huge issue for me in the past. I always think that my clients, they were good for it. I wasn't too concerned, especially when I first got started a while ago now, and I was basically only paying myself. I didn't really care if someone paid right away or not because it's not like I had payroll that I had to worry about. And then um, it's just the conflict with you're doing a service for some, and then okay, so I guess hold on, let me just okay. So you're doing a service for when I'm doing a service for somebody, the last thing that I want to do is ask them for money, I guess was was my thing, which is which is fine to ask someone for money, but I guess if they're like late on paying, that was hard for me to like say, "Hey, you're a good client of mine, but you owe me money and I need that money." Type of thing, which has gotten a lot easier and now I don't look forward to it, but I don't mind it as much anymore because I know that people, for the most part, the reaction is, oh yeah, I need to pay you, and they, even if it, I feel like I'm being a dick, I have to be paid, obviously, and it's just gotten easier for me, but it's been a challenging thing for me to do. And the billing, and so first off, the billing was, I used to not bill people in the right amount of time, into the effect that I do the work and a month later I'd be billing them, or I would just forget to bill them because it was a short, not that much money or something like that. Um, and both of those things are not good, especially if you're going to have employees working for you, because money won't be as freely flowing when you have to pay someone every single week or every other week or however you would do that. So that was a big thing for me, the billing. But then to piggyback off of the billing, it would be confronting clients from a not a mean or angry point of view, but just to call them up and say, hey, you owe me this much money, I need to get paid, making getting the check a lot more of a priority. Um, to give you an example, uh, I mean, let's just say that you're doing like $10,000 in a month, right? Well, you usually what people do is they'll either bill if it's like I mean, it just depends on how you do it, but I used to wait till the end of the month to bill. So I'm billing out $10,000 all at the end of the month. And then I'm starting to do their next services if they're a client like that where it's mowing and whatever else I'm doing on a monthly basis. And now things start to add up, and you could be it might take them a month to pay, and now I've got 2 months on the books for them to get paid on, and who knows if they're even going to pay me. That's something that I had to tighten up when I looked at how much I had sitting out there floating around, and I literally had $30,000 sitting at the end of the year, or not at the end of the season. I looked at the books, and this was actually last year, or last, I don't know, it's weird with the seasonal stuff. It wasn't this year. I don't know. It was probably a couple years ago, but it seems like it was just recently. But I had $30,000 that basically should have been in my bank account, but instead it was because I was slow to bill, people were slow to pay. I didn't call people. I just say, "Oh, they're good for it," that kind of thing. Okay, so it's a huge issue, and one of the things that I would do is I wouldn't want someone to get mad at me and then jeopardize losing an account when if they're going to basically jeopardize I mean if I'm going to lose an account that's not paying, then what does it matter? You know, that's but at the time when I was thinking about it, I was like, "Oh, I don't want to upset them." Well, what does it matter? They're not paying me, right? So that was a huge thing for me. Um, the next thing would be, these are more technical things, and uh, things that I didn't fire an employee for because I believe it was my fault. Was, and I'll tell you what it was. So I had a guy go out and do fertilizer for me, and I belong to a networking meeting, like a networking group like a BNI. It's not a BNI, but it's like a BNI, and I think it was I. Well, my group starts at 7:30. I told the guy I'd be at my house at 6 in the morning, or yeah, 6 in the morning at the house I lived in before. I used to run our business kind of from there. So he showed up. He called me. It was 6:30, and I told him to be there at 6. So I don't know if he was there or not. But I just had gotten a new cell phone. My cell phone didn't go off, like the ringer was on too low for my alarm to go off. But he ended up getting a hold of me, waking me up. I got out there, I got dressed, and I had to be this networking meeting. So what I did was I didn't want to be late to the networking meeting, so I showed him how to fertilize the yard um, in like 2 seconds, which wasn't enough time. To me, it was common sense, and to a lot of people, you know, like business owners, that's common sense. But to an employee, that's you know, whatever it maybe he didn't know how to do it the right way. He didn't understand what I said, and I threw him out there way too early. And 2 days later, I ended up having 25 yards that I needed to do some major work to from burning spots. Like some people had like over 50 burn marks in their yard from this kid doing fertilizer. So that was a very expensive mistake. I didn't fire him for it because it was my mistake. And a lot of people say if you want something done right, you have to do it yourself. Well, I'm not doing this business to do everything myself. And I think that the correct statement would be if you want something done right, you have to get off your butt and show someone how to do something the way you want it done. And then you need to watch them do what it is that you showed them how to do and make sure they're actually doing it the right way. So that way, if something does happen, then you do have right to fire the guy, and they should be worried about getting fired, but not if you don't do that. So that would be mistake number 2. And I've been paying my dues and taxes on the whole fertilizer thing. So I got a new machine a year. I think it was 2 years ago, 2 seasons ago. This will be the third season with it. And it's called a Z sprayer, and they're just awesome machines. I mean, they're like the top of the line machine. They're like over $10,000. The one that I got, had a brand new and everything. And yeah, I cleaned out the tanks and winterized everything for the winter, and I wanted to get ahead of the game and in the spring. And what I ended up doing was I sprayed um, some yards with not the main tank because the main tank stopped working, so I used the backup tank. Like I said, I cleaned it out in the spring or in the fall time, so it should have been ready to go. But what I didn't do was there's a filter on it, like a screen, and previously I was using that in the uh, for doing crabgrass, like to kill crabgrass that was already germinated, and I didn't. And all I so you use a product called Drive to do that, and it's a powder, wettable powder. And what ended up happening was the powder went back to its regular form and got hung up in my filters, in my screens, and so all of the strength of that product was sitting in the bottom of my tank and in these screens. And then the next year when I went to mix my, just my regular cheap stuff for spraying dandelions and broadleaf weeds, I ended up messing up some people's yards for, spot spraying some dandelions. And that was pretty bad. I actually messed up 4 or 5 yards. Thankfully, the tank ran out after that and got it fixed. But I mean, it's one of the easiest things you can do is fertilizer, and it's just one of the things that's like you never know because you don't know until a couple days later, and I'm always on edge about it. So I don't know if you're looking for those kinds of things or not, or if you're looking for more of the money things. But I've made lots of mistakes, a lot of stuff to do with money, and one of the things I heard from a speaker once was, I mean, this was pretty awesome, I thought, and put it into perspective, is that when you go out and you see these guys that have these big, nice, beautiful trucks, they got, or you see someone that has like a crew of like 10 people in a truck mowing like Brickman's or something at a huge um, a huge place, whatever it may be, whether it's a multi-family residential residence or like a retail mall or something center. They all those places make more mistakes than is even possible for you to make in a year, probably in every 10 days. I mean, what you're doing is you're watching the highlight reel every time. This is what the speaker said. You're always watching the highlight reel of that company. You're not watching what happens on a day-to-day, everyday basis. They still have the same problems hiring people as we have. They still have the same problems with people not showing up, with clients that are pain in the necks and everything else. And they have it magnified, but they've come up with solutions and systems to overcome those challenges, and they still have money issues and whatever else. So anyways, hopefully that was helpful. I thought the question was great. Really good question. So I wanted to put that out for you guys. Hope you liked it. Thanks.